Hope my internet's going to work today. Yep, we are live. Woohoo! I've had some internet
Yay!
technical issues this week. So, yay. So I'm thankful to be on here. Welcome, 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 welcome to the room.
Thank
This
you.
is the Mind and Manna channel on on YouTube. And I'm Sonia Fulayan. I am a cash flow coach, and I help women, Black women, especially, to who want to improve their cash flow so that they can level up to a life that includes freedom, rest, travel, and ease. Um, and as I said, I'm a cash flow coach, but I'm also a transnational textile artist. I spend most of my time in Mexico. I do spend some time in the United States and Charlotte, but I still maintain a studio. And this channel is to center the voices of Black women, because we really need safe spaces of our own to talk about the issues that are confronting us. One of which is a financial wealth gap. So I uh, aim my content to that particular audience. Although I hope that anyone who listens finds value in what we're talking about here. But this is a safe space for Black women.
Mhm.
I would encourage you to listen and stay on until the end. I have a wonderful guest this morning. Her name is Floria Johnson, and we're going to be talking about the mindset for moving abroad. I have some questions would love to ask her. She is a wonderful, beautiful soul that I've met here in Chapala, Mexico. Very helpful, very knowledgeable, a world of wealth of experience, and I'll let her tell you about that in a moment. Um, if this content is appealing to you, please do like the channel, subscribe to it, and comment. I do look at your comments, I listen, and I do use your comments to fine tune what we discuss here. So stay tuned, and I'd like to, at this time, introduce you to Floria Johnson. Welcome, Floria.
Yay. Hi, good morning, everyone. Thank you, Sonia, for inviting me to be here with you and your audience.
Wonderful. Thank you. It's my delight. It's my delight. We're talking
Thank you.
about the mindset for moving. We're talking about the mindset for moving abroad. And I know that you have been in Mexico longer than I have, and you have had sort of a circuitous route to get to Chapala, where I am. And I'm wondering if you would just share a little bit about yourself, and then talk to us about the factors that converge to make you decide to make this move out of the country.
Okay, I have to start back many years ago, and I'm going to make it brief, a brief explanation. I'm the mother of four sons, and I have back in the 1980s, I grew up in Newark, New Jersey, and I raised my kids partly in New Jersey. In 1984, I left because I didn't want my kids caught up in the gang activities the gangs were trying to pull them in. So I decided I needed to leave. So I packed up my four sons, oldest being 14 and the youngest being 3 months old, put them in a U-Haul truck and took off to a destination unknown. But I was so tired of driving. I drove all night and I headed south towards North Carolina. Didn't know I was going to stop in North Carolina. I just kept going. I was going to keep going. And I pulled off the side of the road and I saw a apartment complex. So I pulled over and waited till the office opened. And I went in and asked the manager at that time and asked her if she had any apartments available. And I talked to her for about a few minutes and she just gave me the keys and she said, come back and do the paperwork later. And so for me, that was unbeknownst to me, that was the path for that I was going to have to travel for the next 20 some years. So when I got married in North Carolina, that didn't work. So I decided, and my kids were grown at that time. I raised them in North Carolina, and everybody just went their own way. Some of my kids went to Virginia. One of my sons went back to New Jersey, and here I am, and I'm thinking, where do I want to go next? But I stayed in North Carolina for 26 years. Then I decided I wanted to have another adventure. I wanted to be a chaplain after, some thought about it. And my mother died in North Carolina. So I'm thinking, okay, um, I lived there for 14 years working for the school system and participated. I got my training as a chaplain, and everything started drying up for me after 14 years of living in North Carolina. So I'm like, what do you want to do next? So I decided that I wanted to live abroad. I wanted to live in a Latin American country where they spoke Spanish. And so I took off again. I quit the job I had. I sold what I couldn't sell, I gave away. And I'm here. I moved to Guadalajara in April 2 years ago to start school to teach English. And so that's where my journey for Mexico began. And I understand everybody can't pick up and leave the way I did, but I didn't have children anymore. I didn't have a reason to stay in Albuquerque, New Mexico. So I left. I came here, didn't know a soul. But the mindset is that, again, everybody can't pick up and leave the way I did. But I knew that there was a path and another journey for me here, and it has begun. And my mindset, I just feel like I'm free.
So, am I hearing also that faith was it sounds like you also relied a lot on faith to strike out and just and know in your spirit that things would work out for you.
I did because my faith is of the Christian faith, and um, I'm not only was I or still am a chaplain, but I did some pastoral work when I was in. I've um, pastored with a couple of churches there. So a lot of prayer went into that. It just, and trying to get answers. Okay, I know you're calling me to Mexico, but okay, what is the path once I get there? I knew it was to teach English, and basically, I haven't taught an English class yet. So other doors start opening for me, and I didn't want to have to commit to anything until I knew where God was taking me being here. And those doors have begun to open now. Um, so when I talk about freedom, for me, it was freedom of mind, body, soul, and spirit. The second day that I woke up in Guadalajara, I walked outside, and there was, I'm trying to describe the feeling, is that when I was living in the States, it always felt like a heaviness, a spiritual heaviness, definitely a physical heaviness, because on my last job, I knew I was going into depression because nothing was working in terms of
Mm-hmm.
um, the school system was just not an environment that I wanted to live in. We weren't supported by staff and the education system. We were just bodies in the classroom to make sure that there were teachers present, assistants present to take care of these kids. We became more babysitters than we were actually able to teach. So I just, I had gotten to that point emotionally and mentally. I can't do this anymore. just can't. And my very survival was dependent on my ability to be able to leave and find a place where I could now rebuild emotionally and physically. And that is what Mexico has done for me since I've been here. There's nothing like having that feeling of, and it's not necessarily about a feeling, but then it is. I feel free. I feel free to flow as a woman, and especially being a Black woman here in Mexico. I have never encountered community before when I lived in the States. I have community here, and it's the most beautiful experience for me
More
since I've
about
been.
that?
Excuse me.
Can you talk more about that, Floria?
The
We
freedoms
have
here.
I think there's a little bit of a delay.
It is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and how you found community and what community has meant to you.
Community for me here in
What
Mexico
community has meant to you.
is inclusion. I don't feel like I am discriminated against. I get out in the community and I meet people, and I have been embraced like I have never been before outside of family. This is definitely a different culture. Even when I lived in New Mexico, um, the Mexican people that live there, they stay within their own community. So it's really hard to connect outside of work because I worked at a school, Rio Grande High School, and it was mostly the Hispanic community. Um, so here, I have been embraced into the community here, and it feels so good. If you show that you have an interest and you um, treat people with the respect that they are due, and I don't care where it is, it could be in the United States or it could be in Mexico, it could be across the world in another country. When you treat the culture with respect, they will embrace you. I've had people walk up to me, don't know me from a tree, say, "Hi, welcome to Mexico. Do you live here?" I say, "Yes, I'm living here now. And welcome to our country." And they want to hug you. And I was just blown away by that when I first got here because I have started to deprogram myself from living in the States and not being so like this with people when they walk up to
How did
me and
you have?
expect it.
Can you talk a little bit about how you began to deprogram yourself from living in the States?
Realizing that once I got here, I mean, my journey started immediately of having a different mindset from living in another country. And so I decided, well, in order, you can't meet anyone if you stay in the house. I had to deprogram my thoughts about uh, everybody is different, every culture is different, and how do I acclimate to the culture here? And so for me, it was just getting out, meeting people, trying to still attempting to learn Spanish. I took my phone with Google Translate on it everywhere, and that's how I started. And I just was so blown away by the welcoming of people here. And you can't come here with the same attitudes from the United States. That's not going to work for you. I have witnessed rude people with the Mexican people here. That's not going to work. And I had something I needed to say to the person who was being rude, and I did. Because if I stand by and watch it happen, because it has happened to me, people being rude to me as
Yes.
an African American woman when I lived in the States, and if you stand by and you watch that, you're complicit, and I'm not going to do it. because if you don't want to be here and if you can't just find it very difficult to acclimate to the culture here, you need to go. You can't come here with a privileged attitude. That's not going to work. And nobody wants you here with that anyway.
I think that's why I think that's a very important thing to highlight, even
Mhm.
more so because I no longer, I really no longer say, I really no longer promote coming to Mexico, if that makes any sense. I encourage people to come and visit, but
Mhm.
if the mindset isn't right and if the attitude isn't right, then it's not a good, it would not be a good thing for people to move here if they are going to stay in the mindset that they brought with them.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
it's it's not good for the culture. It's not good for the community.
No. No. And it's certainly
Yeah.
not good for me.
Hmm.
Yes. These are
Because
loving
the
people
truth of
here.
the matter, yes, absolutely, absolutely. It's a very loving culture, and I mean, really, it's really not that different from the cultures, the Black cultures I grew up in that are oriented, that are extended family oriented. People take care of each other, kindness. The values are not different, but that whole American entitlement mentality can really mess things up.
Yes. And I don't think that the Mexican people here, they're beginning to weed out those who are coming here and wanting to start problems, or you have to you have to do things my way. And I'm like, what's wrong with you? You can't come to another country with
Hmm.
that attitude that you can change the culture here. I've heard and seen
Hmm.
people complain about the music from the celebrations. And I'm like, really? Don't do that.
Right.
Just don't do that. And
Right.
I've seen, I can't handle it. So if I'm in a situation where I can address it, I will address it right then on the spot because I'm not scared of you.
Right.
So uh, let's not do that. Let's come here with an attitude. And like you said, visit first. And if this is a culture that you think you can live in and thrive, when I came here, I knew I wanted to be a better person than I was when I was living in the States. Now, understand, had I not been a U.S. citizen, got married, raised my children, worked most of my 50 years of work. I started when I was in my 20s, working to support my family and myself, and always, keeping a roof over their heads. I didn't want my kids suffering. And I did whatever I needed to raise my kids. But there comes a time when I think everybody has a dream in their heart, a dream of something that they want to do. And if you're not in a relationship with a partner who both of you can fulfill your dreams together, do it by yourself. You just have to be motivated enough to say, enough is enough of this, and I need to go this way so I can fulfill my dreams, hopes, and wishes. Get information. There's a lot of information out here for women of color to talk to other people who are actually living abroad. You know, anyone can contact any of us. This is your podcast to get information, but you still need to make a plan to visit here or wherever you want to go. Make a plan. There are women all over the world who women of color who have moved abroad, and they're all over the world. And there are groups you can get in contact with. to help you get information. But then the decision is yours. Everybody can't do it for you. I've had people contact me here and they want me to, go look for apartments for them. And I'm like, that's not what I'm here for. I'm here to give you the information. And if you get
Right.
here, you know, have a plan, and our groups, we're willing to meet with you and welcome you if you're visiting or even if you're wanting to stay here. There are a lot of women here who have the information that you need, but you need to come here and check it out for yourself.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I'm really excited, to know that there are going to be, there will be some things that you'll have available for
Hmm.
persons in the near future.
Yes, very near
Helping
future.
them with their, yes, with their short-term sojourn. So we'll be talking more about that
Yes,
soon.
yes.
So, Floria, tell me, looking back on your decision to move,
Mhm.
tell me more about how you feel now, in terms of where you are at this stage of life, where you are in terms of your developmental stage. A lot of people say, after a certain point in time, it's too late. I can't do anything after 60 or after 65. My life is, I'm pretty much stuck where I am. That has not been the case for what I've seen around the world with Black women.
No, I'm going to turn 73 years old this year in June. And I am more excited about my life right now than I ever have been before, except when my children were born and now I have grandchildren. But I am just overjoyed, like the song. I should play the song. Overjoyed by Stevie Wonder.
Mhm.
But anyway, I am living my best life at this point. I am so happy that I made the decision without fear and intimidation. I
Mhm.
stopped listening to other people tell me what they think I ought to do with my life. This is my life. It's not yours. I am passing this way one through this life one time. You know, I did a broadcast with Bonnie a couple of days ago, and we talked about embracing the circle of life. We have been
Yes.
programmed from the beginning of time as to what society says we ought to be, especially as women of color. You were you were given the script from the time you could start understanding life. They handed you the script. And some people never get to the end of the script because they're so
Mhm.
emotionally, physically, financially overwhelmed. And I think the biggest enemy to anyone, women that want to live abroad, um, is fear. The only people I told that I was going to
Mhm.
move to Mexico was my children. People hear a lot
Mhm.
of news about Mexico. There's a lot of news about Mexico. Oh, don't come. You're going to get murdered in the streets. You're going to be attacked and they won't find you anymore. I don't care what country you live in, United States or abroad somewhere else. Every city, state, or country has its problems. So you ought to know that coming in. Yes,
Absolutely.
Mexico has its problems too. And I want to be here to be part of the solution of talking to people who want to live abroad, whether it's here or somewhere else. You can't come here. You can't plan your journey if you're fearful. And I live here and I've never had a problem because I don't get involved in things that could cause me a problem,
Right.
And again, if you come here with these US attitudes, You find the problem. You find a problem for yourself. And then you say, oh, I can't live here. And I've talked to people, oh, I can't live here because I can't do this. I can't get this, yada, yada, yada. Well, you chose Mexico. So you need to, just embrace the culture if you want to stay here. If you don't, see ya.
Absolutely.
I can
Absolutely.
say I'm living my
Do
best
you
life.
have any can you just say a few words about what makes it so? What makes this your best life here?
The freedom
You
that I
talked some
have.
about community.
Yeah, the community
Okay.
here.
Yeah.
I've gotten involved with um, the community here as far as the salsa community. Salsa dancing is fun and it's how I get my exercise. I have embraced the American Legion here, and I am providing, along with another chaplain, chaplain services when needed. Right now, I'm helping them to clear out their medical equipment that they loan out to veterans if you need any type of like a wheelchair, cane, or whatever. So right now,
Mhm.
I'm inventorying the room, and I'm going to paint and just make it light and bright, and restock. And other than that, I enjoy meeting people. You know me, Sonia. I will speak to everybody, and I get
Yes, you
a
do.
lot.
And and you've recently moved into you've recently moved into a spacious home.
Yes, I rented and I have moved approximately 4 or 5 times since I've been here, just trying to find a place that I can say, this is home for me right now. This is home. I want to travel throughout Mexico. I'm not interested in going to another country, but excuse me, Mexico is huge. The country is huge. So I'm going to start just doing, start out with day trips. We went to Mexico City. We had a ball, and just start going to other cities to maybe house it, or just, get on a bus or a train. I'm not a fan of flying, so I'll stay on the ground, but just going to visit places, and stay a couple of days or however long I want to. And that's my other freedom. I retired, and I live off of my retirement income, which is really, really good. That gives me the ability to live here without, having stressing financially. I am, and I can
Mhm.
do that. Yes, I have a 3 bedroom, 3 bathroom
Mhm.
house in a beautiful gated community, and it's a lot less expensive for me to live here than if I had the same house in the States. I couldn't afford it.
Yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful space that you have.
Thank you.
And I also love how you have the in order to get to your house, you're going to have to pass some horses and some chickens and maybe a goat or two, but I love that about this community.
I am totally immersed in a Mexican community. This is the Guadalupe barrio, and there are
Mhm.
cows, horses, goats, and chickens. They give me my wake up call. Usually I go back to sleep because it's too early.
Yeah.
But and I'm going to begin to film in the community where I live and post it, and it's beautiful here. I pass, there are a lot of stores in these neighborhoods, and so I go by and I
Yes.
speak, and I'll go in and buy something, and I just want to support the community here and that I live in. And people are already beginning to know who I am living in the neighborhood. I can't be missed. because
Right. Right.
so it's been fun, and it is fun, and I am enjoying it, and I am just going to continue on this journey and this path that God has given me the very privilege of being able to live here. And when I have the support of my family, which was very, very important. When I told them
Yes.
I wanted to leave and go to Mexico, they asked one criti- critical question. They said, "Well, mother, how much money do you need?" They weren't trying to get rid of me. They support me. And still, I don't have to ask them for money. They just put it in my account. And, that gives me a little bit more freedom financially to do the
That's
things that I
beautiful.
want to do. Yes.
That's
My family,
beautiful. That's beautiful.
yes, they are my biggest supporters of being here. And that's
Well,
really,
I would like to know. Well, that's everything. I mean, that's saying it. You've got, four strong black men supporting
hmm
and undergirding their mother. That's a beautiful
yes,
thing.
yes, yes.
And it's a lot like how we have traditionally done in our families, and it certainly is how Mexicans treat their
hmm
families here as well. So,
Yes. And,
what else
and
do you have? Go ahead, Floria. No, go ahead.
no, I was just saying that when you have family support, that was really part of my emotional freedom, knowing that my
Hmm.
my family was there, and they still are. I mean, we video call, maybe every 2 days. They want to make sure I'm
Hmm.
okay and being out here, and I am
Hmm.
here alone. And so,
Yes.
without my family, now I have, other people like you and the other women I meet, and my community is coming together, and I want to continue that as long as I'm here.
Do you have any parting words for anyone listening who may be on the fence, who may be thinking about it, who may feel like, I don't know if I can do this, but I want to do this? What closing thoughts do you have?
When my friends or people I don't even know, I have people on my Facebook page that will reach out to me that I've never met before other than Facebook, and they start asking questions about how is it living in Mexico. And my suggestions, very strong suggestions, reach out to people that can give you information. First, and even before that, you have to know what you want for your life. You have to allow yourself to have that freedom to say, this is my life and this is what I want to do. Stop talking to everyone about your plans. Get before God and pray and ask Him to give you wisdom and discernment. That's the platform I run on, because without wisdom and discernment, I wouldn't have made it. And have a strong faith in whatever it is you believe. That for me, I know that God is there for me. He's always been there. He said He would never leave me. And I have to know that. My knower has to work in knowing that I know that I know. You can't attempt to go into another country with fear, because it will not work for you. And you'll start having all of these thoughts about, I messed up. And please don't ever let someone else talk you into doing something that, I don't know. You better know, get with women that are
Right.
like-minded,
That's right.
like-minded, and that can share with you. But ultimately, it is your decision. Like I said earlier, everybody can't just pick up and go like I did, but you have to plan There's some level of planning here.
Yes.
And so that is my,
So have a plan.
mm-hmm,
Have a plan. Be determined. Key
mm-hmm,
into your faith.
yep.
Put your blinders on and
From what
filter
you
out the
hear,
distractions and the
yes,
naysayers.
yes,
Mhm.
yes. That is critical. And until you have all of those things in place, emotionally, mentally, and make sure that your finances can keep you here or wherever you go when you decide to come move to another country. Because sometimes people jump out
Absolutely.
there in foolishness instead of faith. You got to take care of yourself here. Unless you have a
Absolutely.
work permit for,
Yeah.
unless you have a work permit to work in Mexico, you can't work here. I know a lot of people came here and they have
That's right.
online jobs. Awesome. But if you can't
Yeah.
financially, you need to, and I'm quite sure you share with your listeners and subscribers about having 3 to 6 months or maybe a year worth of finances before you come here to take care of yourself. If you're working and you lose your job, you can still stay here. You know, that
Mm-hmm.
is so important. And
Yes.
be very selective. For me, I was very selective about who I told what I was doing. And I said that a few minutes ago. For me, that was critical because people will always try to talk you out of fulfilling your goals and your dreams. Even the people that you think are closest to you, why you got to go there? Why you leaving your family?
That's
So I
right.
was like, we're not talking about this anymore. So I share very little about my personal goals and dreams. You'll see it when I've done it.
That's right. I love that.
Yeah, you'll see it when
Well,
I'm
I
done.
think we're going to stop. I think we're going to stop here with that bit of powerful wisdom. I thank you so much for sharing with us today, Floria.
Welcome. You're
You've got
welcome.
amazing story, and I love the fact that doors are opening up, doors, even more doors are opening up. That's an awesome thing.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm working on it. And you know, I'm going to close with this. Um, for all the ladies or anybody for that matter, I've had guys contact me. How's it living in Mexico? But that's another subject. Um, write the vision and make it plain. Write out your vision for what you want to do because that's what the scripture says. Write the vision and make it plain upon tablets. That means write it out on a notebook, journal, wherever. And though it tarry, wait for it because, and it will come to pass. We have to understand that everything that we set out to do, you need to seek the wisdom to do it. And you have to wait on God's timing.
Mm-hmm.
Timing is critical. Because if you just jump out there without faith and you jumping into foolishness, and then when things don't work out for you the way you thought it ought to work and it fails, then a lot of times we want to blame other people than ourselves. God's timing is critical for you to accomplish anything. So if you can take away from what I just said that in a positive manner, you will do well.
All
And I
right.
wish everyone who is thinking about moving abroad, God bless you.
Faith, not foolishness.
That's right. Faith, not foolishness.
All right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And I'll talk to you soon. Have a good day, everyone, and be
All right.
blessed. Bye-bye.
Thanks everyone for watching. Thanks so much. Bye
You're
bye.
welcome. Bye.